This is the typical taper jig out there. We've all seen them. Now the way this works, goes against the fence. Your piece of wood sets in here, it has a stop, and as you go through, it makes the cut. Here's the problem, is that there's no real way to attach. You could use some double-faced tape or something like that. But the problem with this is that you've got to take your hand and hold the leg, guide the jig, and you got to scratch your ear, scratch your head, and stand on one foot. I don't care for that. And when you come through here, you're getting pretty close to a blade. Hi y'all. My taper jig. I'm going to show you this and how we make it. Cutting tapers, tapered legs and whatever is, well, we do a lot of it. But there's no real safe way of doing it. We've all seen all kind of different contraptions, and we've figured up all kind of things and made things. This is a pretty simple jig, and it works really nice, and it's extremely safe. That's the big key. Now, all it is, it's a piece of plywood. You want to use a good piece of plywood, and you'll see that just in a second why. This piece of plywood is 32 inches long, and it's 10.5 inches wide. Okay, the premise of it is very simple. When we mount a piece of stock to be tapered, what this little deal acts like here, I think my glue come loose on that end, that's all right. What this little deal does is it's a stop. And by putting our piece of material here, now one of the keys to this is that it works in the right-hand side of your miter slide on your table saw. And we want to run the blade right along the edge. Now what I always do is I usually set this off of the blade just a little bit, and a little bit being about the thickness of a match cover. And what little bit of that leaves from not being in contact, that little thickness, it just makes us able to sand. It just gives us something to sand. But here's the way it works. Whatever you want to, how you want to taper it, you want to mark your transition point, meaning like in this case, here's a mortise cut. Well, wherever I want to stop the taper, I simply mark it. Then, because I'm going to be setting just like this, then I want to mark my foot, how wide I want my foot. In order to set it, all I do is come up against my stop. I set my transition point here flush with this edge. Then I set my foot right on the edge. Then with the cams, all I do is secure it. This keeps it from moving and it makes it repeatable. Simple as that. Then with my hold downs, I come up on it, tighten them down, and I'm in place. I've got the knob off of this so I can show you. Now here's one caution. Make sure that your hold downs are not past your jig. You don't want to engage them with your blade. Now what I've done, we're going to put up a PDF file, and I did a profile of the hold down. Now all it is a piece of 1 inch by 1/4 inch aluminum. Bought it at the hardware store. Simple as that. Simply put it in a vise, bend it to this shape. There's a hole drilled in the center. Well, maybe not exactly in the center, but pretty close. 1/4 inch hole. Usually, actually, it's 5/16, just to give me a little bit of wiggle room. And all it does is it makes a pinch. Now, the plywood is a 1/2 inch. That's kind of important because if you go thicker, which you can, it's going to limit, because you have a 3-inch height on your table saw blade, you know, it's going to limit a little more the thickness that you're able to cut. Then, sets in your miter slide, goes through, cut is made, remove it, flip it, and repeat. You have a tapered leg. The nice thing about it is that you're over here out of the line of fire. That's the key. It's also extremely easy to set up. Now let's look at how we made it. First, we got a little handle. You can make it any way you want, simply screws in. Now, I doubt you have this, but I'm going to tell you what my handle's actually made out of a piece of Trex. What's Trex? Trex is that composite deck material you can buy at the box stores. Work good. But, you know, whatever you want to use, that's okay. And you can make the handle to suit yourself. But just in case you want it just like this, we'll put you a profile of it out there. Here it is. Get it close as I can. Sideline. When you put your screws in it, because of this edge right here, you don't want to bring a screw up in here. Whatever you do, that's the reason we use the Trex. Is if you use wood, you're going to have a vertical grain. So make sure you've got a good long screw coming up into here so you got a good grip. And so it's good and strong. Now this is a piece of 3/4 inch. All we did was round it over a little bit just for comfort. Not a hard thing. Then we have our cam. All the cam is, what we did is we took just a quarter, we drilled a 1/4 inch hole, countersunk it, took a 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch screw, epoxied it into it to give us a pivot point. And all it does is set in this hole and pivot. This holds it down, obviously. Now, we're going to trace out and show you how we drilled these, because you got to do an offset drill. Whoop. You got to drill it offset so that you can get this action. And I feel sure a lot of you guys are going to come up with improvisations and, you know, different ways of doing it, and that's cool. Now the thing you do is the other thing on the back side, and this is the reason we preferred the plywood over like a piece of 1/2 inch MDF or something, is that we took a 3/4 inch Forstner bit and just simply rounded it out after we drilled it so that we could get a carriage bolt up into there. And once you do, take a mallet. I know it's a funny looking mallet. And just make sure you seat the carriage bolt. Now the reason we've got such a row of holes is just so we can address all kind of links and whatever we may be working with. Then all we did is this is I think a 3.5 inch, 1/4 inch carriage bolt. We've got a washer, wing nut. That's what the hold down goes on. And we got the wing nut on here so that it's not flopping around and difficult to deal with. Then just your handle, your knob. Okay? All right. I think this is a 2 inch carriage bolt. Just something to lock it down with. Now in this case, we used the washer on top. Simple as it can be. Now to make the cam, I'm going to show you how to do that, and then we're going to come back and look at making the platform. Be right back and make the cam.